Alright, it's just a little bit past 9:03, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Again, this session is called Learn How to Run a Discrete Choice Conjoint Analysis Project in 1 hour, and it's hosted by Survey Analytics. Before we get started with our presentation and demonstration here, we wanted to give you a brief feedback or a brief overview of who we are. Hopefully you can hear me all right. We started back in 2002 and we're headquartered out of Seattle, Washington. We are number 172 out of 500 fastest growing private companies in the United States, and we are number 12 on Puget Sound Journal's Top 100 in Washington. In Survey Analytics, we have well over 6,000 clients, and we are growing quite rapidly. And besides Survey Analytics, we also have other survey tools such as Question Pro. We have a crowdsourcing tool called IdeaScale, MicroPoll. We also have some other tools such as MicroPanel, Survey Swipe, Survey Pocket. And my name here is Esther Lavielle. I'm the Chief Education Director over at Survey Analytics. And to the right, you'll see some of our well-known clients. So you've heard of CareerBuilder, Safeway, Microsoft, Roku, McGraw-Hill. Those are just a small handful of the many clients that we service in the industry here. So pretty eclectic. Our speaker today, Andrew Jeevens, will not be able to join us, but he did help me with putting together the contents of our presentation, so it will just be me today. But I wanted to just give you a little bit of insight about Andrew. He is our Executive Vice President at Survey Analytics, and he comes to us with over 25 years in the market research industry. And he has a very extensive background in psychology, statistics, and with Survey Analytics, he is mainly focusing on current innovations within survey research. So this is just a quick overview of who he is, and he would be more than happy to answer any questions anyone might have following this particular presentation. So here's our webinar agenda. We're going to break it down into 8 sections, and hopefully we can get it all done before 10 a.m. So the first one is, what is conjoint analysis? Number 2 is when and why to choose Survey Analytics over Sawtooth. Number 3 is how to put together a conjoint analysis question. Number 4 is adding conjoint design parameters. 5 is previewing surveys and survey design. Number 6 is reviewing your data. We'll look at how the utility calculation and relative importance can give you increased insight into your particular customer's behavior for purchasing. Number 7 is market segmentation tool that we have available through Survey Analytics. You'll be able to run simulations and filter your data based on the criteria and run relative importance calculations through there. And if we have any time, we'll run through some basic best practices and tips, and also open up the floor for any question and answer session. If you don't get to the question and answer, that's all right. Feel free to go ahead and post any questions that you might have throughout the entire presentation. I'll make sure that we can either get to them now. If not, we'll post your questions in our blog section, and we'll be able to answer your questions from within there. And you'll also receive an email that will include recording and slides as well. So let's go ahead and dig right in. So first thing here is, what is conjoint analysis? The way that we like to present this is we just want to give you the very, very basics. And basically, conjoint analysis is a type of trade-off methodology. It's been developed over the past 50 years by market researchers and statisticians to predict the kind of decisions customers will make about products by using questions in a survey. Conjoint analysis questions present a series of possible products to the consumers and then ask them to make a choice about which one they'll pick. And the main or central idea or purpose of this is for any purchase decision, consumers will evaluate or trade off the different characteristics of a product and decide which one is more important to them. Here at Survey Analytics, we use only the discrete choice conjoint analysis, which best simulates the purchase process of consumers. You'll notice below that I have 4 different digital cameras, and if you were a consumer looking at these cameras either at a store or at an online store, or even in a conjoint analysis question, you would consider some of the different features and characteristics that you see. So that could be either the zoom, or you can look at the memory, flash video, or also all sorts of different things, or design of the camera. And these kinds of things will make a difference in the purchasing decision. And also, you can use discrete choice conjoint analysis to review different features and see how that is directly affected by any pricing changes. So a lot of people want to know, why do you want to use a conjoint analysis? Is it too complicated? What's the purpose? We wanted to let you know that it will help you evaluate new products or variations either against an existing range of products offered by your company or within the marketplace. It is much cheaper than developing new products for the marketplace with no guarantee of success. So that means that before you even create a new digital camera, a new phone, or any kind of product or service, you can test to see what your target audience would like before you even create this new product. So it's very important in the innovation process or new product development or new services development. You can get real-time feedback on new products or variations of existing products. That's one of the joys of using a conjoint analysis tool such as the one from Survey Analytics, is that we can offer you real-time data. So once people answer their questions, you can literally log in an hour later and see what are the changes or what are the data that you get from the conjoint question. And also with using the conjoint analysis, will allow you to see that it simulates the decisions your target consumers will make in the marketplace. It gives you an idea of how a new product will be received in the marketplace, and again, it will gauge the effect on the choice and price relationship relative to existing products and the features that are presented. So let's kind of dig into the analysis side. How do we come up with our numbers? A lot of people always ask, what does Survey Analytics use in the back end to create our numbers? Survey Analytics, we use the multinomial logistic regression for part worth or utility value calculations. This has been pre-calculated from the back end, so you don't have to create this. You do want to learn more about what it is, and I just put 2 main points of multinomial logistic regression, which is variables in question are nominal and there are 2 or more categories, and it is used in cases where responses are not ordinal in nature, or they do not need to be ordered. An example I just put out there is how to determine what factors predict which major college students choose. So there's really no order in which a student would choose a college. It's just all sorts of different features. And so if you have a question type where the order is not necessary, you can be using the conjoint analysis discrete choice and use the calculation via multinomial logistic regression to review the utility values for each of the levels that you are going to present. The second part is that Survey Analytics also uses an orthogonal profile generation function, which basically will balance out the profiles that are going to be shown to your target respondents. So basically, any set of attributes will have a minimal set of profiles that can be generated to form a balanced design. So having all this pre-calculated and predetermined, and you've decided that this design is going to work for you, you can have greater confidence in the results that you will receive. Some core concepts about conjoint analysis that everybody should take away, if there's anything you can learn from this, is these major concepts. So the first thing is your attributes and features. Basically, in order to set up a conjoint question, you need to define what your attributes or features are of the products that for your market. So these are the properties of your products. So I'm going to show you some examples about a Seattle tour. So I'm kind of breaking down some of them, starting right here. So if I was doing a Seattle tourism company, the different features that would be considered is the number of hours for a tour, the time of day, and also tour type. The number two thing that you want to learn about conjoint analysis and core concepts are the levels. What are the different properties of these attributes or features? So you want to define at least 2 levels for each of the attributes. So in this case here, I've got my Seattle tourism company. I've got 3 levels for the number of hours. I've done to the right here, you can see I've done 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 4, 4 to 6. And then the time of day, I've got morning, noon, afternoon, evening. And then tour type, I've got 5 different tour types. So I'm doing, you don't see it here, but you will see it later. I've got a coffee tour, chocolate tour, weird Seattle tour, waterfront tour, etc. Number 3 is the utility value or parts worth function. These are what are being produced by the conjoint analysis tool. And these can be used to determine how important an attribute is to the purchase or choice process in market simulations. So the utility value will not be available to you until after you field your survey. And then after you field your survey, you'll be able to review the different utility values on the tour. So in this particular thing I have below here, the example shows that 1 to 2 hours I've got 0.39, and 2 to 4 I've got 0.45, kind of bolded as it is the highest utility value, and then also 4 to 6 hours 0.32. So based off of this, you could say the greatest utility value would be 0.45. This is the most preferred number of hours people would like to be on a tour. So between 2 to 4 hours, followed by a 1 to 2 hour tour, and then the 4 to 6 hour tour. The fourth concept is relative importance. How important is an attribute in the purchasing or choice decision? So those are the major features that you're going to look at. So if I were to look at hours, time of day, tour type, which particular attribute or feature is the most important determinant when they choose one tour package over another? So you can say things like the type of tour determines which one is most chosen. And you can make this determination based off of the relative importance calculation that we have given to you. So we'll show you an example of that here shortly. So the number 2 thing on our agenda is when and why to choose Survey Analytics over Sawtooth software. We do have a lot of respect for Sawtooth software, as they do a lot of different kinds of conjoint analysis. And for us over at Survey Analytics, we only do discrete choice conjoint analysis. So if you decide that the discrete choice conjoint analysis model is the right one for you, then we would like to be considered as a full option. We do have flexible pricing available, and you can contact me after this presentation. I can give you some pricing. We also do boast that we have the most user-friendly conjoint model in the market. And we can show you how easy that is to put together. We do offer real-time reporting. So, like I said earlier, once you've fielded a survey or you're continually fielding a survey, you as a survey administrator or your clients, if you give them access, can review the data as it's coming in. And you'll review the different changes in the conjoint data as well. The pricing that we offer does include integrated research tools that would enhance efficiencies and depths in research strategies. That means that we're not just selling you the conjoint analysis question. We're bundling that all up with all of our other tools that we have. So, such as, we have a MaxDiff questionnaire, we do tube pulsing, we do graphical scale design, flex matrix, all sorts of different things, as well as your standard question types. So you can actually create the entire survey from within here and include your conjoint analysis questionnaire, and then be able to do all of your analysis in one location. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. And the last thing that we would like for you to consider is that you will receive a dedicated account manager and also receive support during the time that you're running your conjoint analysis project, and also during the time that you're using Survey Analytics. So we're readily available. It doesn't cost anything extra. And if you would like to work with a consultant that is outside of our firm, that is very used to and is very familiar with our tool, we do have very good recommendations to give to you to help you get started as well. So number 3 on our agenda is how to set up a conjoint analysis question. And I basically break these things out pretty into, I think, 3 or 4 different sections, just so you can see how easy it is. And if we have time, I'll be happy to go in and show you in a live survey what this actually looks like. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the actual slides for right now. So the first thing that you'd want to do is set up your header instructions and add in your features and attributes. So with the Seattle tour, you see here that we're looking at the hours, time of day, your tour type, and then below we'll look at the different levels. So say for instance here for the hours, I've got 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. Time of day, I've written out different time of day, I've got 4, and then also the different tour types I have below are set up. And then let me go ahead and click on next. Oops, actually let me go back one. And hopefully you can see this below. Below that you'll see that you can set up your task count. Task count is the number of pages or cycles that your conjoint analysis question will go through. And you can also set up below that the profiles, or the number of profiles that they will see at one time. So the default is always 2 and 2, so you can go ahead and change this. The higher task count, the more times someone will be able to see the different profile simulations and have more choices to choose from, and also will give you a lot more data. After you set up that, you'll notice that you can go in and set up your conjoint analysis parameters. So the first thing you would do is set up your what we call prohibited pairs. And basically the prohibited pairs will not display 2 levels that have been marked as prohibited in the same concept. So so basically, if you want some things to be hidden and not be shown as an option, you want to add prohibited pairs. And here's an example of a prohibited pair. So I have a weird Seattle tour, and basically I've stated that it's never going to be 4 to 6 hours long. And you can put this at a 1-to-1 level for each one of them, save your changes, and then when you are running your project, you will notice that it will these options will not be available during the conjoint simulation that your respondents will be taking. The next part is to review your concept simulator. The concept simulator really doesn't do much besides gives you an idea of the number of times particular levels and features will be shown to your respondent. So say for instance, in this case, if you just think if you only have 25 people taking your survey, it will tell you the number of times the tour type will show up, or 1 to 2 hours will show up, those kinds of things. It is basically used as a guidance. It's you know, because sometimes even though you're saying 25, you really actually are going to be going for a much larger number. And then we only have it in, I think it's 25, 50, 100, 500, thousands, and a couple thousands above that, just to kind of give you an idea. But you don't have any options to manipulate these numbers. It just gives you an idea of how the orthogonal design will be able to show all of these particular levels at one point. So here is a preview of our conjoint analysis. So again, with the Seattle tour, you can see that we have 2 profiles or 2 tour types available. And then from there, the respondent can choose, you know, based off of what's being shown to them, which one they would prefer. So whether or not you want to go on a 4 to 6 hour wine tour in the afternoon or a lunch tour, you know, and during noontime, it's entirely up to you, and they can choose which one they would like to go on. Here's another conjoint analysis preview with pictures. So not only can you just set up a table or profiles, but you can also include pictures within your conjoint analysis, so it makes it more interactive, more interesting, and also allow it to help even better simulate the purchasing decision. So in this case here, I've got a bunch of different kinds of TVs. We're looking at cost, resolution, and size, and then we can decide, you know, which one based off of the different brands that they're given and the cost, resolution, and size, which one they would choose. And again, these will be cycled through. You'll see this here is step 1 out of 4, so this will be shown to them, you know, 4 different times. And if you'd like to go in and take the survey, this exact survey here, I've got a link below. All you'd have to do is, when you get the slides, copy and paste it, take the survey, and you can see that it does cycle through. And what's a typical conjoint analysis survey look like? So click on continue, and then they can see more. So number 6, we're going to spend time reviewing the data. We're going to look at utility calculations and relative importance. So the first thing here is the relative importance. Again, it's pre-calculated from within, and the relative importance of attributes is displayed as a pie chart, and then we also have a table that we'll show you here in a second. And it shows you very simply that the tour type is the most significant feature or attribute which determines which tour that they would take. So basically, after you are completed with your survey, you can easily see graphically that, you know, which feature will make the most difference in determining what package that they would like. And you'll also be able to make comparisons to the other features that you'll have as well. Here we have is the relative importance and average utility table, and this is usually presented right below this. So if you'd like to go inside here and see, you'll notice that to the left of us we have our features, and the relative importance again is broken down in percentages. And again, we're noting that tour type is the most important attribute or feature that is the main determinant of which package a respondent or tour taker will pick overall. And then the next part we'll see here is the average utility. So these look at the utility values individually, and you can also compare and see. So if you look at the number of hours on top, you can see that 2 to 4 hours is most preferred, followed by the 1 to 2 hours, followed by 4 to 6 hours. So if you're a tour company, you may want to look into having average tours around 2 to 4, and then also maybe some afternoon or evening tours in the 1 to 2, and then maybe there's a couple of needs for tours in the morning that you know is going to take all day. So you can look at those different things, different numbers, and usually the higher the number, the more preferred, or the highest number is usually preferred, the least number is least preferred. And you can look at these features and the levels on what's like a single level feature basis. So you'll also see that we're just kind of looking at the other ones here. So the tour type, again, we noted that the Weird Seattle Tour sounds really interesting to most people. And surprisingly, you know, right behind it is a chocolate tour. And then, so you can note that, you know, not only is the Seattle Weird Tour popular, but there is a big need or desire to go on a chocolate tour in Seattle. And after that, we automatically will give you a best and worst profile. The best and worst profile is based off of the average utility that we have pre-calculated for you. As you saw earlier in our table, the higher numbers are the ones that are most preferred, and the least preferred are on here. So you can see that we have the best profiles 2 to 4 hours in the afternoon, and it should be a Seattle tour. And then the worst profile we have is a 4 to 6 hour tour in the morning. That is a Seattle Scenic Tour. I guess most of the people in this target sample are probably not morning people, so that's why the best profile appears to be more of an afternoon. An afternoon tour is more preferred. So again, here we just pointed out, you know, the tour type is best liked, and weird really does work. So for number 7 here, we're going to show you the market segmentation simulator. And what this does will allow you to use the existing data from our conjoint analysis. Basically, with our tool, we include a market simulation simulator. And this will basically give you the ability to predict the market share of new products and concepts that may not exist today. It also will allow you to measure the gain or loss in a market share, which is based on changes to existing products in a given market. There's 3 main important things when you are using a market or conjoint simulation tool. The first thing is you want to describe or identify the different products or concepts that you want to investigate, and we call those profiles. These particular products or concepts that you are going to investigate are pre-existing, and they are pooled from your conjoint tool, so or your conjoint questionnaire template. So if you decide, oh well, I want to add another tour hour of 7+ hours, but you didn't have that in your original conjoint question, it will not work, and it actually doesn't give you that possibility. So it's only going to pull profiles based off of the existing features and levels that you have pre-programmed from within the survey. So for example, I've just set up a profile below here of the tour type. We're doing a weird Seattle tour, 1 to 2 hours, time of day, evening. I kind of just pulled that out of nowhere, and I'm going to test that against a bunch of different other profiles I'm setting up. The second one is that you want to find out all of the existing products that are available in that market segment and simulate the market shares of the products to establish a baseline. Basically, what that means is that you can create new product ideas from this and then compare it to existing tour types, either what you have or what's available in the market right now. So if tour type A sees that tour type B has a bunch of different chocolate tours, then you want to compare and see how the changes are to your profiles would be compared to what they're currently offering. And number 3 is to try out new services and ideas and see how the market share shifts based on new products and configurations. This is a great area, if people or your clients are asking questions like, well, I really want to know more about what if I have this new product or this new service? How is my core target audience going to respond based if I were to make some changes? And a lot of times people in conjoint analysis misunderstand, the first part where you're running through the concepts and showing the previews. They want to jump right over to the simulator and ask these questions right away. Before you even get to the simulator, you do want to have data that's available. The simulator does not work without any existing data. So a lot of people say, well, I want to show what these concepts are, like I want to show only weird Seattle tour types, and I only want to show it during this time and this time and this time for these different tasks. Can I do that? In conjoint analysis, no, you can't, because we do have it pre-programmed ahead of time. It wouldn't be conjoint analysis if you control it. However, with the simulator tool, you'll be able to help satisfy any questions your clients or your company would have if you were to run what ifs or try out new product ideas. So this is where you would want to spend a lot of your time answering a lot of those questions. So I hope I've clearly made that very clear to everybody here. So I'm going to show you a profile how we set up a simulator, and basically what you would do is you would click on our online tools. We have a simulator, you give it a name, and then you can go ahead and change your profiles. With Survey Analytics, you can actually have up to 4 different, or excuse me, not 4, but actually 10 profiles at one time, and you can run those simultaneously. Right now I just have a screenshot of just 4 different ones. And what I've done here is I'm selecting different hours, time of day, and then I'm changing the different tour types. And once I've set up my profiles, all you do is click on Save Profile Changes and run a simulation to review your results. And basically, the market simulator will use the existing utility values that you've already gotten from your data received from your consumers to help project the probability of choice and then hence the market share. So I have an example. Hopefully you guys can see this clearly. Here is that we got 2 profiles. The hours are the same, 4 to 6 hours. The time of day is the same, afternoon, but tour type, I've changed it. So Weird Seattle Tour and Chocolate Tour. And I want to see, if we were to keep 2 of the features the same, how does my market share change if I were to offer 2 different tours? So once I select, run an output, the simulation output below you can see is that my market share is 75% and 25%. And based off of the 10 people that we have that have taken the survey, 75% of the people will go with profile number 1, which is our Weird Seattle tour, and the other 25 will go with the chocolate tour in the afternoon. Although I would say the chocolate tour, 4 to 6 hour chocolate tour in the afternoon is quite a lot of chocolate. So unless you're a diehard fan like myself, I highly doubt anyone would go that long. So maybe that's why the Weird Seattle tour is more appealing. So you'll see that we also break down total utilities and also a mean as well. So you can run through the simulator, quite often, as much as you would like, and help answer any questions that you would have regarding market share. So now that we know all this, what can we ask and find out with the market simulator? So I'm just going to kind of go over the same example that I had earlier. So you said here, so an example of a question that I could ask is, what happens if I have a tour of 1 to 2 hours as opposed to 4 to 6 hours in the afternoon for a Weird Seattle tour? So you can see that actually the market share doesn't really change all too much. We find that we actually find that people prefer shorter tours versus a longer tour. So even though we saw earlier that with a 4 to 6 hour market share with those two different attributes in the last one, that the shorter the tour actually people really prefer. So so that is some of the things that you can answer, or ask and answer based off of the data, the existing data that you have. So it's very interesting stuff that you can do, and you can play around with those. One of the things I've learned, from some of our consultants and also also from Andrew, is that even though you see that a market share is higher than the one below, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is not a good tour or a good option to share. Some indications of that is the calculations of the utility. So if you notice that it is very close to each other, that also is an indication to you that even though the preference is for a shorter tour of the same kind, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is not going to be a good seller. So so those are just some of the things that you can take away from this type of simulator tool. A lot of times, a lot of people are very intrigued by this tool because traditionally, a lot of the segmentation simulator would be manually calculated by either a statistician or a person or consultant who specializes in doing conjoint analysis. And so to be able to ask these questions quickly and be able to dive into analysis a lot quicker and in real time is quite powerful. So the next section that we are going to go over here is we're going to look at some best practices. So these are tips for a successful conjoint analysis project. And the first thing is where to begin. A lot of times people will come to me or some of our account managers with a large list of features. So they're trying to look at all sorts of different things. But the most important thing, and I'm sure if you're familiar with Conjoint already, is that you do need to cut down your list of features and attributes. A lot of times, and a lot of people will ask, how do I do that? Well, you could start, or you could, you must start with qualitative research first. And listen to the language or the voice of your customers. What are they saying are the top features and attributes that will help that actually help them or give them, I guess, for lack of a better word, I guess, what features and attributes do they feel helps them determine one product or service over another. And so again, this is a great area to start off with. So qualitative research, find out what are the top attributes and just, sit them down and ask them exactly, what do you think these things are? What's the range? And the range again, if you're going from, 30 different features and attributes and you're trying to mark it down to no more than 5 or 6 or 7, what do you guys need to consider? So this is qualitative research is pretty important in that area. Ways that you can start doing qualitative research is by either putting together focus groups or one-on-one interviews. You can also do a lot of surveys with open-ended questions, and that will help define some of your top attributes needed for your study. You can also use crowdsourcing tools like IdeaScale and simply ask these questions. What are the main things that you like about our product? What are the main features that helped you choose our product over different products in the market? And then they can tell you, and customers can vote on which ones that they agree or disagree with. So those are just some of the very interesting things that you can apply initially to help you determine what those that a feature or attribute list would be. The second thing that a lot of people always ask me is, what sample size should I start with? And we have always given people this. It's a frequently asked question. Richard Johnson is one of the inventors of Conjoint Analysis, and he's presented a rule of thumb for a sample size in choice-based conjoint. So you can see it's the number of respondents times the number of tasks, and it's times the number of alternatives per task, and then you divide that by the number of levels for any one attribute. And as long as it's over 1,000, then you should be okay, or at least equal or over 1,000. So say for instance below here, if you have 500 respondents with 3 tasks, which is the number of pages or cycles you go through, and then you have 2 alternatives per task, which is the number of profiles on each page, and then the maximum levels on an attribute as you get them is 3, then you can see that the number below that we have is 1,000, which is greater or equal to the number above, so it would work. Generally speaking, the sample size does often tend to be between 200 to 1,200 respondents, and we admittedly show that it is a wide range. 300 is a minimum. A lot of people usually often come up for a single homogeneous group of subjects. So a lot of times people ask me, well, I only have a targeted group of maybe 100 people. Even with this tool, can we still try to run a conjoint analysis, because my group's really tight. I've got a very homogeneous group. And the good thing about our tool is that you're not limited by sample size, and you can really just open it up to what will fit you best. And even though the data, a lot of people question whether or not it's statistically significant, I would argue and say that if you have a single homogeneous group, the size of the data can still be smaller than your standard, oftentimes minimum, or to allow you to give you some significant data to use as a guidance. And also we want to go over some best practices and tips. So anytime you want to use a conjoint analysis as part of a survey, you want to make sure that all the options are clear and simple when using an online survey. We always tell people, you don't want to make more than 10 to 12 trade-off exercises, and the trade-off exercises are the cycles or pages that the tool will go through. And 5 to 7 I've found is pretty standard. You don't want to have more than 5 or 6 attributes or features, and the levels you don't want to go over 5, 6, or even 7 in some cases, and try to keep the ranges simple. Some other tips that I've gotten that I've have learned from other consultants and partners in the industry is that even within a survey, whether or not it's a conjoint analysis survey or if it's just a regular survey, you can ask more intimate questions of anyone who's a current customer than potential customers. But don't let that stop you from trying. So, what that means is that don't be afraid to ask certain questions because you never know, even though you're not, I guess, you don't have a relationship with them, so to speak, you can still, ask a certain question, and you'll be surprised, if they're very involved or if there's an incentive or there's something that perks their interest, then, they may well be able to provide you with some very interesting opinions that you have not have considered. So some general good online survey techniques are strongly recommended, regardless if you're using an online survey for conjoint analysis or not. Definitely you want to test out your survey and make sure the responses are clear and that you make sure that your respondents know that all of the data that you are taking or receiving is going to be kept strictly confidential. Majority of the surveys, I would say, you want to keep them to 15 to 20 minutes. I think anything over that, you definitely want to provide some sort of an incentive. Usually with anybody who is interested in running a bunch of trade-off exercises, in our system we can actually go up to like 32 or 39 trade-off exercises. And if you've got a very small group but you want to show a bunch of different things, I would suggest to provide some sort of an incentive to get people to go through all of this, because after a while they'll run into some sort of respondent fatigue, and we really don't want that to happen. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open it up if anyone has any questions about our conjoint analysis tool. And while I have questions or questions are being filtered through, I want to go ahead and see if I can open up one of our live surveys here. Just one second. And I can show you what that looks like. So you can see I do have also a MaxDiff question. If you guys are interested in MaxDiff analysis, we do have MaxDiff available. So I'm just going to go ahead and run through the survey. You can see that I've set up the survey by adding an introduction, the features, the levels here, and then I've set up my task count as 3, which is 300 pages. Concepts per task is number of profiles per task. And I'm just going to go ahead and select a preview. So this is going to go through 3 cycles for everyone here. So I can select which one I prefer. And then click on continue. And this should end it. Alright. And once we have that data in there, within Survey Analytics, I'll show you the analysis portion where you can click on the Analytics tab and pull up Conjoint Analysis. And this is where you're going to see your relative importance and also the average utility calculation and your best and worst profile. So I'd broken these down earlier So you can see here a lot more people have been taking the survey. So, but regardless, you can see that the tour type is still the major determinant in terms of which tour package that they want to take. And then below here we have our table, your average utilities calculated. Again, you can see with the numbers here that Weird Seattle Tour is the most popular, followed by a Seattle Scenic Tour. And then we break down the best and worst profile. And from here, click on Online Tools, and then you can run your simulation. And this is my example that I showed earlier where the hours, time of day, but the tour type is different. Everything else is the same. And you can run a simulation, and this will give you the market share based off of the data that you have received previously. So you can see that the two profiles based off those and the 32 responses we have, more people will go with the chocolate tour over the wine tour. And you can download this as an Excel report and review it. And you can continue to create additional profiles. Again, you can see you can have up to 10 different profiles at one time. Let's see here, just one quick question. I have a question here from Selena. She wanted to know, is this software available on a website or by downloads? Very good question. It is available on Survey Analytics. And so if you want to learn more, all you would need to do is go to surveyanalytics.com. And I'm just going to go ahead and go live here and I'll show you that. Oops, just going to move this over. And hopefully this will open up. And you can try out the Conjoint Analysis tool for free. Sign up for a free evaluation. And what you can do is you can review a little bit more information by pulling up the platforms. If you guys are interested in the exact demo survey that I have on the slides, you can also download and open up the demo survey here and review. And we break down some of the choice-based conjoint analysis concepts that we do have, and then also the simulator. And then we also have some white pages that you can download about conjoint analysis to help you get started, and also include some additional best practices as well. So this, we don't have to download the data. It's actually, all of our software is web-based, so you don't have to worry about saving or storing any data on your servers. All you will have to have is a username and password to get started. So it's very simple. So another question that I have from several different members here, they wanted to know whether or not the cycles are random or are they the same for each respondent. So if you go back, I did talk about the fact that we do offer have pre-programmed the orthogonal design behind it. So although it might appear random to the respondents, and they are different, they are actually predetermined, pre-calculated, as we do have this pre-program from the back end. So a good question, but they are different for each respondent. Not all respondents are going to see the same number, the same profiles, as we do need to make sure that we balance out your survey as much as possible for every time a person takes it. So let's see here. Let me know if anyone else has any other questions. Let's see here. And if you guys have other further questions, please let me know. you are more than welcome to email me over at Survey Analytics. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you would have. Or you can also contact Andrew Chevins, who is also, like I said, the one who helped put the content together for our presentation today. And we can also have a further discussion about some upcoming projects that you are considering. So it looks like I don't have any other questions that have gone through. However, again, like I said, feel free to contact me separately if you have any questions about conjoint analysis, how you can use that for an upcoming project that you're considering, and we'd be really happy to help you guys out. We strongly believe that our conjoint analysis tool, like I said, it is the most user-friendly out there. It's not complicated. If I can do it, I believe anyone else can, because I'm pretty illiterate when it comes to computers. However, it does make life a lot easier and more efficient, especially since you can review your data in real time. And I strongly believe that it's really going to change the way you would do traditional conjoint analysis. So again, I wanted to thank everybody for joining us today for our presentation on conjoint analysis. I hope that after this 1-hour session that you can go ahead and go out in the field and run your own discrete choice conjoint analysis project. So thank you everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Goodbye.